cause I wasn't in the in crowd. Well, I'm back at it, so you know what's going down. And I'm all up in their face, so they gotta see me now with that raw lunch.
What is up, everybody?
Oh, hey! What is going on? Sorry, I was just getting a little meditation in, trying to get ready for the show. I didn't realize that the intro went off. How's everybody doing today? It is a 5-Star Friday.
Yeah, it is. 5-Star Fridays, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad that you're here.
4 host here. Ryan is missing in action again.
It's some errands, man. The errands be getting
it. Errands will get you. Them errands will get you every time. I am one of your hosts, Tony Clapper, Mr. 5-Star, a.k.a. the Clapback Kid, the Chat 'em Up Champion. Woo! And as always, I'm joined with the crazy, fabulous Fee. What is happening?
I'm all right. I guess I need to get into my meditation as well. If you call it something crazy, I'm like, oh, I gotta channel in. I gotta align the.
And everybody's crazy ass Uncle Fish.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. Glad we're here. Excited for this week's topic.
This is a topic picked by the Uncle Fisherman's of Fisherman's Prime. Fisherman's Prime chose this topic, and it is a fun topic because these are some of the greatest villains of all time are in this group. And when you get good villains that are dope on their own, and then you put them together, into one,
and you get good alliteration in the name. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Let me take you back. It's like.
Yeah.
It's like seeing when you're watching wrestling and you see a good faction form, right? You see certain wrestlers come together and you're like, oh my God, they're about to team up? What is this? This is that kind of energy, I feel like. When these guys got together and we're like, we're going after the champ.
We're taking Hulk Hogan down.
Sinister Six, man.
Right.
That's Fish.
True.
Yo.
Why'd you what out of everything you could have picked, what was the reason for picking the Sinister Six? What compelled you?
I'm a huge Spidie fan, so the Sinister Six is way up there on my list of bad guys. I love the Sinister Six far above like the Legion of Doom or some of those other factions and stuff. And the lineup has changed so much over the years that it gives you a lot of interesting stuff to play with, and it gives it a lot of interesting room for conversations. And like, I'm curious what people's like favorite lineup is, who their favorite members are, all this kind of stuff. Who would you like to see in it that you haven't seen in it? Oh, there's so much room for cool conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I feel it. I agree with you on that. Spider-Man, I mean, who doesn't enjoy Spider-Man? Yeah, somebody here already, from Twitch, we got somebody, the OG Sinister Six was the GOAT.
I'm a big fan. I've got that issue, man. I love it. I picked it up as a kid. It was a back issue when I picked it up. But oh man, I love the original one. And boy, if they had just listened in that first issue and jumped him at once, Spider-Man would have been over right then and there. Which is, of course, why they don't, because you got to take it one at a time so they have a chance. Spidey has a chance to win. But oh man, yeah, the first one is always going to have a warm place in my heart. I agree. J.D. Smith, digital artist.
Okay, Fee, when was you first? You being the youngest of the group, you're getting into your nerd journey.
What up, J-Man?
Growing into my nerd pants,
Growing into your nerd pants. When was your first introduction to the Sinister Six?
I would say it was definitely in the MCU for sure. Because, knowing about Sandman, knowing about Doc Ock, learning about their backstories and their reasoning, I was like, Okay. This is
Man.
why they kind of have this build up, but also for Doc Ock to be the leader. I said it makes sense. As smart as he is, him leading along to see a way to try to get Spider-Man was pretty. I could understand that.
Hey, share my screen real quick, Fish. Please. This is the MCU's current Sinister Six right here, with the tree that got zapped in there also. I feel like they could have put one more person there, right? I mean, they could have just.
No, there's any number of people they could have put. I mean,
they could have
but they were doing interdimensional. Like they already screwed up the Shocker. The Shocker would have been a good one to have in there. Vulture would have been a good one.
Vulture would have been
not interdimensional. He would have been perfect.
Right. I would have loved if the Vulture.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved if if they would have put Topher in there. It would have been. Great movie. I love the movie, but there's some holes, right? Like some people sneaked in, some people, yeah. Topher Venom is pretty bad. That's pretty. We don't even talk about that anymore. You're right. I'll be careful. You're correct on that. I would have loved to see Vulture in there, though. Vulture would have been a good fix to me because, for one, Vulture. You can take that screen down, Fish. Sorry.
All right.
To me, the Vulture is the greatest MCU villain that we have gotten thus far.
Really? Out of the entire MCU, you think
out of the entire MCU, to me.
Now that's a mission statement there that you got to be able to support, son. Like I mean, I'm not saying he's not, but I mean, out of everybody,
this is why. My man is just trying to put food on the table, right?
Yeah.
He goes out and he buys all these trucks. He recruits this crew of people, right? He's just trying to make an honest living.
Very easily turned to crime. So it's not the most honest crew.
But hold on. Yeah, I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying that they're but he gets all these trucks. He gets all this equipment. Gets all this money involved. We all know he's making a big investment.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got some people in suits who come in one swiftness and not only wreck all that, tell him, sorry, you're not able to do this. We know you've invested money. That's not our problem. Takes the food out not only of his mouth, his kids' mouth. Now is all these people that he's promised all this work to.
Yeah.
To me, that is a dope origin story, and I like the way they connected it with, Tony Stark, so I can understand now he's got this vendetta against this dude in this tower, and these Avengers get to do all this stuff and make all this mess, and I'm trying to make an honest living cleaning up this mess, but then you halt me from doing that and tell me that's your problem that you spend all this money on this equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It is
relatable. It is much more relatable than I'm going to destroy half of life in the universe so everybody has enough to eat. It's definitely more relatable than that.
Yes.
But the best, I don't know. I'm racking my brain to think of somebody better because like Justin Hammer just sucks. But he's just such a douche. And
I was like, I don't know. Last time we were talking about Namor, I kind of was like, I gained a respect for him because he was just like, just trying to have a peace. And it's that same thing where it's like the people.
But some people get violent with that peace,
Yeah, he's like, I'm not afraid to go to war for the people I'm protecting because you keep messing with me, keep messing with the bull, you get the horns, kind of thing. So I'm like,
Tarantula, that's a good pull.
He had the most range, the most dynamic. Like you got Thanos, and Thanos thing is okay. Thanos is Thanos.
He's definitely not just evil for the sake of evil.
Right.
He's not just.
He even gives Peter Parker.
Spider-Man.
Bro, he even gives
Thanos
Peter Parker
is obsessed with death.
Bro.
He is like
he even
thirst trapping over Lady Death.
He's like, yo, you're a kid. Stay out of my business, and you'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, go on into your prom. You're dating my daughter. You took my daughter out to prom. That's fine.
I enjoy him, definitely. I mean, and I'm racking my brain right now trying to think of who's better. You know, I don't know. I mean, I definitely like him
Yeah.
in the top, like as characters that I like, that are understandable, that have a reasonable reason for existing.
Yeah.
You know, I like Ultron, but even Ultron's kind of, a bit of a douchey stretch. I mean, just to be, artificial intelligence, but yeah, I'm just going to wipe out humans.
Yeah.
I've decided this in 2 seconds, and I'm never going to change my opinion on the matter.
Yeah.
Good evening, Facebook user. Glad to have you with us.
Plus,
top of the evening to you.
Sorry, hello. Plus, we've had this discussion before. I like and I wish the MCU would have done more of those street level.
Oh yeah,
power, but they have power, like those type of villains. We didn't get a lot of that in the MCU. We went from straight like, Loki into the world, Ultron into the world, Thanos into the world. We didn't get those little
Spider-Man before you know it is going into space, like, and
right.
I enjoy the old stories where like Sandman is on a spree of robbing banks, and Spidey spends the whole issue figuring out a way to best him. Like, I like that. I enjoy that. I like watching him stop Rhino from robbing banks and stuff, and
And I like that storyline specifically to Sandman because of the fact of, like, again, coming in from the movies part of it, the Tobey Maguire, those good, sweet Tobey Maguire tears, and then just going through all the shows, and just like for Sandman, just it was situational again, but it's relatable in the way that it's like, what would you do if you were in this situation, if you were pressed for this, and how would you handle it? So it's just kind of like, I always could say I respected Sandman because of the fact of how he, how they had him and how he portrayed himself and how he still just kind of was like, this is still my goal overall. This is just
that's one of the reasons I enjoy Sandman so much as a character. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, he was a little bit just evil for the sake of evil. I mean, he's a crook that gets turned into Sandman. I'm going to rob and destroy the world. Like, I mean,
then you start building layers of sand.
But as he went on, he became so much more complex of a character. And my absolute favorite part is that Marvel, I don't know if it was 2 in 1 or what, with him and the Thing, and they're just hanging out in a bar, and Sandman is like, man, I'm done with this, dude. I'm sick of getting beat up. I'm sick of, always trying to stay ahead of the law, always trying to keep from getting my butt kicked by Spider-Man or somebody else. Like, I just want to put my head down and, lay low. And Thing lets him walk away, and and for a long time he just like lived in an apartment with this lady and her kid, and got swept up into things as they happen in the neighborhood. Like, you come cause ruckus in my neighborhood, I'm going to step out of hiding and try and protect the families that I love around here. And then became a good guy, and then he's back and forth. It's a much more interesting character
for
than the green suited, I'm going to smash Spidey in the butt. Like, shit. There's no point.
It definitely gives more character and texture for sure, which is really cool.
He's one of those fun villains too. When you say it like, if you just say it like he's a bad guy made out of sand, you're like, oh, okay, cool. But then you see how this sand can move and all the stuff he can do with it, and then you know what I mean. Then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a badass. Like there's some cool things.
Sandman packs a punch
that can happen. I think you can say that about a lot of Spider-Man villains, especially within the Sinister Six. Maybe the only one who sounds like cool off a brief description is probably Kraven, like, hunter of all hunters type deal. But if you're like,
Electro shooting lightning bolts and stuff, that's pretty cool. I mean, like, just on a surface level.
Level.
I got this character idea. He's a fat old guy, and he's got these long metal spaghetti noodles coming out of his waist. Right. Okay. Like, that doesn't sound that intimidating.
You're like, okay. Then you get into layers.
I know they even played on that earlier, where it's like Doc Ock. I said, "Why are you calling me?" It's just like,
I did like
laughing. Like, what's your name? It's like it kind of proves that.
All right, Fish. I got this one for you. This might be a tough one for you, buddy.
No such thing.
Oh, well, let's answer J-Man's question first. Question for all three of you. What Marvel villain would you like to see in the Sinister Six that is non-Spider-Man villain? That's interesting. Who would be a good
That is a good question.
Sinister Six member?
I mean, like Sabretooth has fought with Spider-Man before he became like just
Sabretooth
a
would be a good
mutant-only dude. Sabretooth would be Magneto.
I just
Oh,
get out of my
Magneto might
head,
be a
dude. I just
man.
dude.
thought
Shoot, I guess I'm
Get out of
thinking
my
more
head.
of like quirky kind. Like none of them
I'm
are
Like they
quirky
play
thinking
a
like
villains.
chess game first, and then he like teaches him on the way. Like he keeps leaving like these things for him in a way that like wouldn't that be cool? Where he's like teaching him because since him and
oh, you
Charles are
just
playing
gave me a story
chess,
idea.
right?
I
But
love
they
you.
keep building it up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like because he keeps teaching him, he's like he sees potential in him, but he kind of wants to grow more towards the way that he's kind of become, but he's still like he has that heart and energy to try to
Like the
like
whole Sinister Six is just a whole teaching exercise. They all think they're in it to kill Spidey, and he's in it to push Spidey to the next level. That would be an amazing freaking story right there.
plot twist, like he's in the danger room, and it's
I'm
like
To
going
be
with
someone's
Bull.
seen
I'm
there.
going
later
with.
in Green
I'm
Zone.
going with Bullseye.
Oh, dude,
Oh, that's a good
Bullseye.
one. That's a good
Oh,
one.
Man,
that'd be. And see, and that's ground level. Like that's a ground level, like Daredevil fighting kind of dude. But that's dangerous for Spider-Man. You know,
Yeah, it
that's
is.
bro,
that's a
when
really
they
good
did
one.
the Dark Avengers storyline,
Hmm.
I I didn't. It's like you don't realize how bad that dude is if he had a bow and arrow, right? Like him as Dark Hawkeye. There's a one where they're fighting the X-Men and it's he's doing so much damage with this bow. Finally, they call Angel to swoop in, grab him, and
Hey,
drop him
Ronan?
off like 3 blocks, or like, you know what I mean? Because they're like he's just messing everybody up. Like this dude's just he's taking out like some of the like no name mutants like left and right, right? Because he's just give that dude a bow and arrow or a gun somewhere high up. He's just
Taskmaster.
oh
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. He might have been. I feel
I
like
mean, he's
Taskmaster
fought
might
Spidey,
have
but
he might have been, I want to say, in one of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoons, he might have led a
okay.
Sinister Six team before.
maybe. But man,
He a
that
great member, a great
way up there
leader.
in my favorite characters.
He would be a great
Oh,
leader for a Sinister Six team, no doubt,
What about Mystique?
no doubt, no doubt.
Mystique would be a good one. I mean, because she could also kind of fill the Mysterio type of role of
Yeah,
misdirection, and who am I and
Blob,
where am I?
Blob
She
would
could
be a good
pretend to
one.
be Aunt May, and everybody else is dangling her off
Yeah,
a cliff. And when he finally goes to rescue her, gah, stab him in the neck, or what it like. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
forgot
would be
about that. That's on
so
trauma. On
juicy.
whew.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Mystique would. That might be overkill for real. Don't let me create my own Sinister Six team. It might be for real over for Spider Man.
Amazo. Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. So okay, out of the OG team, who's your favorite member? We're talking about what? Sandman, Vulture, Doc
Hmm.
Ock,
Mysterio, Craven.
Mysterio, Electro, and Craven.
Yeah,
Who? That's a tough question because
that is a tough one.
them are all really dope villains. I'm
Right.
gonna say, even though Vulture is my favorite MCU villain, out of the group in the comics, he's not my favorite. I think,
Mm.
I think, what the MCU did with Vulture, sometimes the MCU is like it keeps them where they're supposed to be. Sometimes it
Yeah.
elevates a character, right?
Sometimes it nerfs him like Shocker. That really makes me mad
Yeah.
because Shocker's one of
Sometimes
my
it'll nerf
favorites.
them. Sometimes it keeps them, and then other times it really you're like, oh man, this is a better version. I feel like
Yeah.
that with Vulture. I feel not
Yeah.
that I hated the Vulture in the comics, but
My favorite Vulture in the comics was when he was dying of cancer from the radiation from his
yeah,
inventions. Like that was a really awesome part of his arc. That he's dying from this was so cool.
oh yeah,
But other than that, yeah, the Vulture's never been really one of my favorites.
J-Man, you're right. Any of the Flash's villains could easily fit
Oh, Mirror Master would kick ass in there.
Yeah, any of them would
But
be
like
good.
Reverse Flash, forget it. Spidey's dead.
Yeah.
He would play with him for a while like a cat, but that's not really a challenge.
That'd just be gruesome.
Yeah.
I'm going with a Facebook user with Craven. Craven is definitely my favorite out of the group, followed closely by Doc Ock. Doc Ock, for one, he holds it down for the short, fat dudes. I dig that. And
hey, we got to have people to cosplay too.
Yeah.
Hey, representation matters. I'm not saying
Absolutely.
it doesn't.
So Doc Ock is a close second to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn because emotionally, Sandman's journey has been one of my favorites in comics. And he's a villain, but God, I love me some Doc Ock. I mean, the fact that he can just sit back at a distance and be brilliant and vicious, and he doesn't have to hone his body to a razor's edge because his arms are more than a threat. Like, I absolutely freaking love that. I mean, he gets caught up in his own brilliance and ego and does dumb things, but geez, I love me some Doc Ock. For villain, Doc Ock. For character, Sandman.
Nice. Yeah. Is there a version of Sinister Six that you like better than the OG team?
I mean, back to your point of talking about being Doc Ock being like the OG, he stayed being the leader. So I feel like the OG is pretty solid for me. I mean, they keep switching it up. I like the OGs.
Here's my thing. Go ahead, Fish. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like all of them. Some of them make less sense to me. Like when you put like a mindless lizard on there, or near mindless lizard, that doesn't make sense. How do you put him on a team and wrangle him?
Yeah.
It's
does he know he's
like
on the team?
putting really dumb Hulk on the Avengers doesn't make sense in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because he's basically a dog level of intelligence, and you just can't count on him to do. He's not trained. You can't count on him to do what you want him to do. Doesn't make sense. But I've liked all of them. Any version that has the Beetle on it, I love because I love the Beetle. But yeah, the OG one also just kind of stands out to me, and I've also liked seeing revised versions of it where you got new updated, like on Spectacular Spider-Man, you got the Vulture, and you got an updated Sinister Six with the Shocker and stuff, and I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say as far as Spider-Man villains go, it doesn't bother me when they do a team and like Shocker's on it instead of another person, or if they replace, they use the Rhino instead of another person. Like those make sense. Kind of like you said with the Lizard, he's not really the type of character that seems like a team player.
Yeah.
So I don't like what J-Man actually just said.
Nobody brought up
I don't like putting Green Goblin, Hobgoblin. Let them be their own villain.
Green Goblin doesn't make sense to me joining anybody else's team, really.
Venom or Carnage,
unless he's
super ego.
I don't like Venom. I don't like Venom on the Sinister Six.
Hobgoblin, I love as a character, and when he's not like a crazy demon goblin, but like he's a dude in a mask that did this for a reason and is trying to get rich and powerful, and that Hobgoblin, I buy being on a team.
Yeah.
Other versions of him, not so much.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they're like I said,
because the motive is totally switched. The perspective and the reasoning for him to pursue it is so different.
And when he's a mercenary trying to build up an identity so he can sell that off to the highest bidder, and you can be Hobgoblin, yeah, absolutely. I want to try take out Spider-Man and up my street cred so I can sell this. I like that motivation. I thought that was really cool.
Scorpion's another one. I like Scorpion on the Sinister Six.
I like Scorpion, but again, Scorpion kind of comes on the dumber side. So, he's muscle.
He's muscle. He's not, but that's perfect for
him,
Doc Ock.
Rhino, guys like that. They're good for muscle, but you can't have too much of that, or this team's gonna lose.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
But you can't have too many smart egos like Doc Ock either,
because they'll collide.
Yeah.
Mr. Negative. Yeah, when they did like their version of the Sinister Six on the PlayStation game.
I haven't seen it. I want to.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't have to worry about spoilers.
Yeah.
I want to play it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a cool character, and he's on there. I mean, that's another person. He's more of, though, if you're gonna put him in, you kind of got to take Doc Ock out. Even though Doc Ock's in that one, I still feel like there's certain characters that are leaders and are gonna be able to lead the group. And once you get like too many of them leaders in there, that's when it
has
starts
changed in the
to
world of Hulk.
kind of starts going to shit a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen?
But that can also be fun. Like that could be the fun aspect to write, the team fighting against each other and maneuvering for control and trying to undermine each other so that I can prove to be victorious even if the rest of the team goes down because of my ego, because I am, Green Goblin or whatever. But it's got to be written right.
It's got
Yeah,
for sure.
no, that's a big part of it. Writing is so whew, it's very
It
important.
doesn't matter how cool the pictures are. If the story doesn't
if the
matter,
flow
makes sense.
and the story is not with
Right.
it, it's not, everything else doesn't go with it. Doesn't work.
Fish, put up my screen really quick, my good man.
All right.
Fungo Pop slowly was releasing all these individual Fungos to create the Sinister Six with the Spider-Man. I gotta say, that is a pretty dope set right there.
That's cute.
I mean, the OG team just looks so good together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kind of balance each other.
They do.
There's a good,
they do.
like visually too. Like they kind of have this kind of color scheme going. You have the balance of the muscle and the brain. It's like I like it.
Yeah, you got your air support.
They fit their categories. Yeah, air support, people that can strike from a distance like Electro.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the hyper agile type of character in Craven. You've got sheer muscle with Sandman. You've got illusion and misdirection with Mysterio. It's great. I mean, and you could do the same thing. Like you could build a team around, Kingpin, for instance, like J-Man says, as the leader, and and still hit all those notes with a bullseye and the Rhino, and
I think in the original Spider-Man, the animated series, didn't Kingpin hire that? In that cartoon, they made it to where Kingpin is the one who brought them all together to form the team. Like he's like
I mean, I can see it right there on your screen where he's teamed up with Scorpion and
that's like a picture of like all the Spider-Man villains, I think.
No, up above it.
Oh yeah, there it is, right there.
Can't you see where I'm pointing on my screen?
Sorry. Yeah.
So sorry.
Chameleon was on there too.
They literally doing like 1, 2, 3 team.
Chameleon's another great person that you can throw on.
I hate that they muscled up Doc Ock.
Like, I know. I was like,
in
his '90s armor. Like, I dig him being a heavyweight older dude in glasses, like with a bad haircut. I dig the fact that he just did not care. He's brilliant. I don't care about what you like, what you want.
He's like, I'm smart and I know how to mess things up.
Doc Ock is such a great character too. I mean, he was literally almost a better Spider-Man than Peter Parker. I mean, let's not. He was almost a better Peter Parker than Peter Parker.
Yeah, the version of Doc Ock that I kind of like even better than the original version, which is I love, is the version from Unlimited Spider-Man, the animated series, where like he's got this long greasy hair and stuff, and he's kind of hunchbacked, and he's like this more modern day fat loser that has stayed locked away in his science and stuff and doesn't care about anything else, and his body has just gone to pot and his hair is all greasy and stringy, and like he was a very antisocial, scary Doc Ock. Like when he got the powers and the arms and stuff, like he became very scary, and I really dig that.
It's like a newer lineup.
The Spot could be really cool when he's not just like a joke character.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you like we said, like we were saying, The writing is key. I mean, you can make any character fit in a way if the writing makes sense, but
And some of the
the
Sinister Sixes have just been put together like as a joke and stuff. Like that
yeah,
makes me mad because it's too cool a team
yeah,
for that.
I
But
would say, and I mean, you guys, can have your, of course, you can have your own opinions, but I would say Sinister Six, they're probably top three for me in comic book villain teams. Um, what do you guys think?
there may be somebody I like better as a villain team that I can't think of right now. But man, I love them. Like I mean, like Cobra is
You can pull that
cool.
screen down. Sorry.
But that's an organization. That's not
Mm,
a
Yeah.
team up of separate entities that join together for this.
yeah.
Like I love the Sinister Six and the fact that they're all basically, like ground level, maybe a hair above bad guys. They're not like, giant world stopping forces on their own. Like Doc Ock can threaten the world on his own with his
Hmm.
brilliance, but like Sandman's not going to. And,
Yeah.
Mysterio doesn't have that kind of drive or care.
Yeah.
Electro is just trying to rob banks and whatnot. Like
Yeah.
I love like, how dangerous they can be when they get together. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the end, they're just like, all of our lives would be a lot smoother if there wasn't this dude in the Spider-Man suit messing with all of our plans, right? It's
Hmm.
like you can go do what you want to do. I can do what I want to do. You can rob as many banks as you want. You can rob as many armored cars as you want. I can,
Yeah.
work on my stuff. But this damn Spider-Man keeps getting in our way. Say, let's come together and get rid of this dude. The only team I mean, one of the teams that I would put above, I love the Brotherhood of Mutants, led by Magneto. That's probably my favorite villain team. Um, Sinister Six is right there though. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a dope team, and that's including taking.
And
I'm
the
okay
Brotherhood
with
lasted a long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like the Sinister Six is like we're teamed up today, and and that's pretty much it.
right.
Anybody else that comes and tries to
Mhm.
take that name, we're going to come after or whatever.
It's
Like,
honestly
but the
the
Brotherhood is like a
Mhm.
lasting. Like we made a pact. This is who we are,
Right.
and you got to give them credit for that.
Yeah,
What
those
was
are
you
like
saying,
the
Fee?
two names that I really just remember when it's like coming up because it was just like it was a Sinister Six of hero like of villains
Hmm.
against Spider-Man, and then of course the Brotherhood and what they had and what they had to go against when it came to the X-Men battling them. It's just it definitely was like their presence was certainly known, and thinking of someone else like it's just like in their own right it was just either by themselves or because again like you said to your point Tony there wasn't a lot of street like type of scenarios or stories, so a lot of them are very galactic, so it's not really easy to
Hmm.
compare the scale of them, especially if it's someone to go up against Spider-Man, and so it is kind of like yeah, I don't know, I can't think of another team right off the back of my off the top of my head that really could compare to those two because they've had such a lasting, they've just made such a big
Yeah,
presence.
I
Hmm.
feel like DC has more villain teams probably than Marvel. From
I
if
could see that.
I might be a long shot, but
I could see that maybe. I don't know.
I feel like DC
Again.
has a lot more villain team ups. It feels like,
Mhm.
but they're all kind of under the same name. It's like they always use the Legion of Doom.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Which I
Anyway,
kind of I like the idea of the Legion of Doom being an overarching kind of organization, like a
yeah,
club that we've all been jumped into,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
like
yeah,
we're
we're
part of
members.
this,
It's like
but I
being a
do
part
my
of
own
the.
thing. But
yeah.
It's like
if
being a
Tony
part of
needs me,
like a
I'm gonna come have
lodge.
his back because we're Legion.
Yeah. And it makes
I
kind of
dig that.
sense that it would be like that one thing because I feel like everyone's always trying to take a battle to the top, It's like someone's always trying to, pull the rug from the other. They want to be the top dog. And because of that, there's always these different type of like hierarchies and different chains and cliques and some
Mhm.
little groups that come together, but there's still one thing, which is kind of interesting.
Okay, that's a really interesting question from J Man. If we had
Yeah,
the
I know. I
opportunity to create a new spider villain, what design or original powers would we give them? that's something really interesting, and I would like to jump into that. But we are supposed to be running commercials for the other shows on our
Run
network.
that.
So let's run a commercial and then come back and jump onto that idea.
I think it's time for me to save the day. Grace. Y'all know what it is. A hot shot. Let me heat it up. My girl think
Okay. That's a tough
I'm really
one, man.
dwelling on this, Jay, man, because I mean,
Yeah.
like everything that we've thrown out today, especially thinking about like what other characters would be, from other places would really womp on him, and like like Mirror Master comes up to the top of my list. Speedsters come up at the top of my list. Bullseye, Deadshot, uh, Deathstroke.
Yeah.
These guys are really kind of out of the league of who he normally is going up against, unless he's like goes against the
Right.
Punisher or something. Um,
I feel like my
man, I have
character.
to think it would be either
You got a
Animal or
bunch of characters in
Speedster.
Green Zone that I feel like.
Oh, dude, I got
What
so many
easily-
characters in Green Zone.
Yeah, I was
That
like,
would
you got a
easily
nice little
fit.
library there, sir.
I mean, you gotta. I mean, probably most of your characters in Green Zone could somehow fit into a Sinister.
If I had to use one of my Green Zone characters, I know exactly who I would use. Hold on. You think about what you would do, and I'm going to see if I can find the picture.
Well, I know, like, off of what I have, like my character Brimcoal that we haven't introduced yet into 5-star.
He was in Power Company, though.
He was in
So
Power
people
Company.
like might have seen him.
Yeah, so people
Okay.
might have seen him. He's made out of like a stone that's kind of like a mix between like coal and brimstone type of, and so he's got the super strength and durability, but he's also able to absorb energy that's shot at him and kind of redirect it, which makes him a threat to 5-star. He could fit. I mean, the energy part really wouldn't affect Spider-Man too much. I don't know, man. I mean, with Spider-Man, I always like when Spider-Man goes up against people who have different animal-y type powers, just because it always.
That's the thing. Yeah, it fits so well into him when you have some kind of animal-based power, even if it's tech or science or magic or whatever. That fits really well with him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like anything that's like an animal based villain, would be cool.
I feel like anyone that would just always challenge him mentally, some type of thing that always allows him to try to, think of that. I mean, I guess an animal. I mean, that is true. I guess another piece of it would
there's so
be
many characters that are animal based with him, like Scorpion,
Yeah.
Rhino,
He's
Doc
got a
Ock,
lot.
the Vulture. Like there's
It's like
the
a trend,
Kangaroo. There's so many. Which is what I would do. I would absolutely like make up a new character that was animal based and probably science based. Somebody that invented something that gave them these abilities and they're using it for evil, because that's classic Spider-Man. But if I'm using somebody from my world, I absolutely know who would take Spider-Man out.
Who?
And that's my girl here, Weave. Because if nothing else, Weave fits in so well with Spider-Man, like in Spiders, that just fits so great. But she's got these, living prehensile psychic tendrils that, come out of her head. And her psychic abilities, I don't really know what he could do against that. I mean, she could mobilize an entire block of mutants against him to fight that are all innocent, so he can't really hurt them, but they can really hurt him. And, she could take him out psychically like that, put him under her control. He could think he's fighting her for 10 years, and she's been using him all week to rob banks, and he has no idea. Like he's in some imaginary world, and, she is so ridiculously powerful that like if she let loose, she could probably end the world. And the fact that she doesn't is amazing to me. But you'll have to find out more in issue, say 25 of Green Zone.
Hey, you know what? Too, you bringing her up, I just was thinking like, there's not too many versions of the Sinister Six with a female character.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
One of the animated series did a really good female Beetle that I really enjoyed.
I remember her. Yep, I actually got that figure. Just a disclaimer. I have a very extensive Spider-Man villain collection, action figure collection, from female Beetle to Spider-Man Ultimate Beetle to regular Beetle to all the villains. I mean, I got almost everybody.
A Beetle collection I could get behind. Like, I'm always like, I don't want to collect every toy that comes out, and I can't afford to collect like every Spider-Man toy or something. But like the Beetle, Taskmaster, like there's a couple of characters I dearly love that I wouldn't mind collecting like more than one piece of.
Yeah, I think so for me, like I said, Sinister Six definitely up there, top three for sure. Taskmaster would be a very dope member of the Sinister Six / leader of the Sinister Six. I think he would be a great leader of the Sinister Six. Gender swap all the Sinister Six to women and large.
Yeah, I mean, we're a couple of decades late for that 90s blowout right there. That would be, all of them in their sexy battle lingerie. And yeah, that would.
Yeah. Hey, they did it in the Into the Spider-Verse. The female version of Doc Ock was cool.
Oh my god! I just got the hentai version of swapped Doc Ock in my head, and oh my god, now I can't get it out. Oh god,
she wasn't too bad. But yeah, they need to put on a strong. What strong Marvel female villain would you put in the Sinister Six? The OG team. Who would you take out, and what female would you replace with them?
Depending on that, like Silver Sable, every once in a while would have fit in that category.
I'll just say if you did.
I mean,
like She-Hulk would be an awesome adversary to him if she wasn't, a good guy.
Emma Frost,
because she's smart and strong. Oh, Emma Frost would be.
She would do
damage. You said Mystique earlier, and I'm like,
Mystique.
Well, she's like on the ground. I was thinking of someone who could,
Mystique would be. I honestly think that's overkill, though.
Give some aerial advantage to that, and that you have a really sticky situation to go toe to toe with someone like that. So
I don't know who I'd put in. That's a good
I have to think about
Tony.
that. But
Thanks,
it's just
Tony.
it's just kind of like
there's not enough good female villains. I mean, there are female villains, but there's not enough like, bam, female villains. Like your Doc Ocks and your Doctor Dooms and.
I mean, but like the person I was thinking of, like Hela, but again, it's just the range is so.
Yeah, that's so far out.
That's too much.
That's he calls somebody else to come handle this.
Yeah.
This ain't my fight.
Gotta have that happy balance to where it's like, okay, she's
right.
Cool. She can be a problem on her own. Like that's what the Sinister Six is, right? They're all characters that are like in the right scenario, they're a problem, but they're not too much. They're not too much.
What's her name? She was in She-Hulk. She was the villainess, that's like making the makeup and ripping her off. I keep thinking of the name of one of Dan Hoyne's characters I just drew, and that's not right. It starts with a D, but I keep thinking like Demolitia, but that's not the right name. Typhoid Mary. Good. J.D. Smith, digi-artist. Trying to get my mouse over there to it. Typhoid Mary is a good one. I dig her.
The female Bullseye.
Yeah. That would be a nice twist.
I don't know, man. I Google searched.
See, I think if Spidey went up against Void, I think he would just get slung around a lot and get
That's gonna
knocked
be
back 6
just
blocks
terrible.
and spend his whole
Void is
time
not a cool guy.
coming back.
He is not nice by any means of the sort. Not nice at all. But I know Vigilance's character she goes toe to toe with. That might be
There's just two.
that
They're
might be
just.
one. I just
I
can't
feel
remember
like
her name for the life of me right now. Because she's pretty tough too.
Note to Tony, we need to make more powerful female villains.
well, not even. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm kind of.
More like
Now that I
iconic.
think about it, it's like all the female villains are they're either non-existent or they're like all extremely
It's like
powerhouses.
there's no in
You know what I'm
between.
saying?
There's either
There's no in between.
like
It's like
Hela and Death.
yeah,
and,
like there's some that's I know like there's some that's mixed in with Cobra, but like his daughter. What's his daughter's name? Red Skull's daughter's name.
Oh,
I can't think of her
that one I
name.
don't know.
But like they're all like they're either like powerhouse.
What's up, Javon?
Javon. He's a good
Hey,
person to ask this question. Javon, let me ask you this question, sir. The OG Sinister Six, what member would you take out and would you replace with what Marvel female villain would you put in that place? We're trying to think what
Trying to find somebody at the right level to fight Spider-Man and give him a real threat, but not be like galactically overpowered for him.
like Enchantress, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could stand a chance against the Enchantress. I mean, he's taken on a lot bigger characters than himself, but not in groups. Like you put Enchantress
That's what I'm saying.
working teamed up with a bunch of other folks, and I think he's in real trouble.
Titania.
Like, I mean,
Titania.
That's the name I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Like the Baroness from G.I. Joe wouldn't be that much of a threat. I mean, she's a badass, but against Spider-Man, that's out of her league.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could always put like Black Cat in there, but like,
yeah, but I mean, you could put that would be interesting. Like, why is she on the team? Why is she mad enough at Spider-Man to be doing this? What somebody got on her? Is she double agent?
Right.
That could be interesting.
There's a lot in there that you could do. It would be a great person to put on that team though, and it's not in Marvel.
Hold up, Rod Morgan. Who's that?
What's up?
Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy would be interesting. She would be a real threat.
A real threat.
And she can be like a global level threat when she wants to.
Yeah. Poison Ivy, if she was in Marvel, Poison Ivy would be...
Yeah.
She'd be a boss.
I think Spidey could keep up, though. I mean, he is a science whiz.
Yeah,
so he could do the same thing as Batman and figure out, how to deal with her pheromones and whatnot. He does everything for
Reds, exactly. That's what I'm
Female
saying.
Doc Ock.
He does everything for Reds. Who I would take out though?
That's the part. It's just like the balance of it. Who would you take out?
I'm gonna go with
I want to know, who would you put on your team? Like, who would your dream team of the Sinister Six be?
Okay, are we just going with just Spider-Man villains? Or
right, because like we've kind of now we're crossing.
I say we could do whatever. I mean, I would probably stick with Marvel myself.
Yeah,
but,
definitely Marvel.
I mean, you could do whatever.
We'll definitely stick with Marvel, and we can do with those characters. I mean, you obviously don't want to be like Thanos, Ultron, you know what I mean? But like
Galactus,
Magneto,
Eternity.
Spider-Man's gonna become the itsy bitsy spider real quick.
Yeah, like you don't want to go there. Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go nuts.
I liked the idea of the Kingpin being the one who hires these people to come together. Not necessarily on the team. I'm just saying I like him. He's putting the dough up. Okay. Since you said Taskmaster, that's yeah. He's not necessarily he's not a Spider-Man villain. He has been a Spider-Man villain.
He's fought Spider-Man plenty of times.
He's fought Spider-Man. He's been in the game. So I would definitely roll with Taskmaster.
That's a good point. I mean, while I would take Kraven out, Kraven is one of the few that's defeated Spidey.
Yeah. I feel like with Taskmaster in, I wouldn't necessarily need Kraven.
No.
So I'm gonna not put Kraven on the team. For the muscle and just in the he's dumb, so he's gonna follow what he's told, and he's a problem. I'm gonna put Rhino on the squad.
Powerhouse, absolutely.
Powerhouse. If we're talking about muscle, Spider-Man villains, he's the one who, oh yeah, I already said Bullseye is another one. Bullseye was my character that I would put on there.
Hydro Man, Puma, and Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Prowler's a good one. I'm surprised nobody. That's why Javon. I love having Javon in the comments. Prowler.
My problem is when I think of the character from, and I think of Prowler as a hero, as a reformed villain back in the day. And I mean, now I think he's probably back to being a villain again because he's a more interesting character that way. But
yeah. All right. Man, hey, Sandman might be better than Rhino, but I'm going Rhino. I'm going Taskmaster, Rhino, Bullseye, Electro, and let's see. I'm gonna throw Vulture in there for the air support. I'd rather have the MCU Vulture. I'm just saying. And
I think you can do that. That's fair.
I don't know about this last member. Give me a minute. When y'all keep going, let me think about my last member.
Fee, who do you think you'd pick?
I was like, to go off of of the versions of the Sinister Six. I mean, you can always switch up with the roles, but I would kind of like to see a female Green Goblin in that, because I feel like she would kind of handle how that power would be, and I think kind of how Doc Ock and Green Goblin was in one of the latest movies we had, how they could work together because they're both smart, and I don't think the ego would really override it because they both have a commonality of wanting to really be the best in the room. So I think that would be good. But when it comes to, I would keep Kraven on, as well as Bullseye for sure. I just, ever since I've heard it, I can't let go of that. So that would be solid.
My last one. I know my last one.
What is it? Go ahead.
Speed Demon.
Oh, good choice. Good choice, because that gives you a speedster.
Yeah, because the superior foes of Spider-Man wasn't a bad team either.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's one of my favorites. That book just hit me at the right point in my life, and that's when I fell in love with the Beetle. Was right there.
That's a good that's a good Spider-Man team. So I'm gonna take him off of that team and put him in my Sinister Six. So that's my squad.
Okay.
Sorry, Fee. It just hit me.
Was I at like 4? Because I think my last two is like Rhino and Sandman.
You got the muscle covered with both of them. Yeah, the muscle is covered. Rhino and Sam. Do we often see them on the same Sinister Six team?
Oh man, there have been so many lineups. I couldn't tell you.
It's a good question.
But I feel like that's like them two together is a problem.
Like I want to say they were in the Spectacular Spider-Man.
I was like, I like the two intellectuals together, the two muscle together. I feel like they could really do some damage, and I really kind of like that.
See, that's part of how I'm building my team. Is I'm thinking about all the aspects of it.
Yeah,
right.
Are y'all ready for me to go? I don't want to step on anybody's toes. All right. Let's see. What's this comment? Let me read it on the big screen. Here, Butts is Rhino's specialty, and he made it into all your lists. All right, let's
He
see.
didn't make it on Fish's. Fish's got a completely different list, I guarantee.
Oh, my list. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah.
Doc Ock is the leader because he has to
Okay.
be, because Doc Ock's awesome and I love him.
Okay.
Taskmaster absolutely would be at his right hand alongside the Beetle. And,
Nice.
right there, those three could take out Spider-Man, no problem. The
Mm.
other half of the team, I'm putting Sandman, Hydro Man,
Nice.
and I'm torn between Electro and the Shocker. I love the Shocker more,
Okay.
but Electro, I think I'm going to have to go with Electro just because half of the team can absolutely murder Spider-Man without a hassle. The other half of the team is like pure raw power, but they're also the half that is going to screw it up for the rest of the team. And, and as a writer, you need the dumb guys that are going to screw it up, or else Spider-Man's dead.
Yeah.
And the fact that Sandman and Hydro Man can cancel out each other, Electro and Hydro Man, Electro could start to turn Sandman to glass. Electro could take out Taskmaster, and together, if they don't organize their movements perfectly, could screw up everything.
Cross cancel each other out.
That's part of that's part of the necessity of the team, is you got to have a way for them to be.
That's a good team. Scorpion, we all said that we give credit to Scorpion.
Oh,
Scorpion,
man,
yeah, he's
and again, he's dangerous. He's interesting to watch, but he's also the one that's going to screw up the show.
And Beetle has definitely been a villain in this decade, bro. We just talked about the Superior Foes of Spider-Man, where they had a female Beetle in there.
Oh,
plus
yeah,
on some of the cartoons, he's in all. He's
he's
the cartoons.
His newer version, like I haven't read him in a comic yet, but the newer suits that he's been wearing lately, and he never speaks in the animated series and stuff, and is just like hidden behind the armor, is badass. Like, it's got real Snake Eyes vibe mixed with like War Machine, and I am here for it. I freaking love it. I've always just had a thing for Beetle, and it all comes down to one scene in one comic that nobody ever read. And the main villain in the comic was the Ringer, and I know you don't know who he is. And he had this goofy suit with all these rings on it. He was a magician that did act with rings and decided to turn to a life of crime. And he got the Tinkerer to build him a suit that compresses the pollution in the air into these rings he could fire out, and they could constrict or do whatever, and give Spider-Man obstacles, basically just to get his butt kicked. He broke in to steal his suit from the Tinkerer when the Tinkerer was in jail, so he could sell it and try and retire and get out of a life of crime, because he was tired of getting beat up by Spider-Man. But in the background of that, the Beetle barehandedly bust through a solid concrete wall, knocked the Ringer out, threw him on one shoulder and a refrigerator-sized crate on the other that had his new Beetle suit in it, and walked out. He wasn't wearing his armor. And that scene, that probably would not be considered canon to anybody else, was the core of when I fell in love with the Beetle and had to figure out more about him. And nothing else ever really puts him as super powered on his own. But in that scene, he freaking stuck his fingers through a foot-thick concrete wall and pulled it down. And whether it's canon now or not, I freaking love him.
Yeah. I'll just say, I mean, I love villain team-ups like that. Anything that gets characters that can be a threat on their own, but can be taken down, but they team up. Those to me are the best. The comic books, cartoon episodes, hopefully movies one day. Those are my favorite.
Yeah,
I love those characters that are like they're just a little bit more than street level. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of the in between characters. Those are my favorite type of villains. I've already told y'all, like Galactus and all them. I don't care about none of that. Like that kind of universal theme doesn't get my rocks. You know what I mean? I like the Spider-Man villains, the Batman villains, the Flash villains. Like those to me are the fun villains.
I tell you what, I would pay good money to see. And now that I think about it, I'm probably going to have to do something like it in a Green Zone book, some spinoff somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
I want to see the Sinister Six just come along and just beat Spidey's ass. And, you know, I want to see them work together and they just clean his freaking clock. And he is like legit scared.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he has to take off running for his life. You know, maybe somebody bigger like the Hulk has to rescue him or something and get him out of there. I want to see him get beat. And I want to see him live in fear for a while of what if they come back, or they're starting to rule New York as a crime syndicate now because they know they sent the main hero in New York running. And I want to see him live under the fear of getting his butt kicked several times by this group and having to like up his game and get better at his skills and don the Iron Spider armor and upgrade his tech and like have to really bring it all in or put together a team of his own to kick their butt.
Or like now that you're saying this, like where he has to for one be like a little bit more aggressive than he usually is, and you got to kind of go into this like.
Is this what's breaking my rules?
Watching,
he has to go.
Like, let me pick them off separately. So now I get to kind of get into this like detective mode to where like I'm kind of scoping them out. Okay, now that they're on top of now I got to kind of low key kind of watch and see what they're doing in their individual lives. When can I attack one of them at this perfect moment where I
can't take them all? So who's the weakest?
None of them's around there. Like,
who can I kneecap in a parking lot when he ain't looking and even my odds? Like,
gritty.
God, that would be so
Sandman's
good.
Going to go visit his daughter. I know Sandman goes and visits his daughter at this time. I hate to do it, but this is when I got to take him out in front of his daughter. Like,
I mean, how far would it push him when he's gotten his butt kicked several times and now he knows I can't just win this on sheer willpower alone. And I can't just muscle my way through it. I can't just luck my way through it and hope they're going to screw up. Like, how far am I going to go? How nasty am I going to get at this? Or am I going to let them, start killing off folks like Aunt May? Like,
we're talking about like Peter Parker when he goes into the prison and beats up.
I want to see him far beyond that. I want to see him like
past the
not just mad. I want to see him scared, which is something I don't think I've ever really seen.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Because he's always more powerful than everybody else and is always reining it in.
Well, guys, that just happens to be the end of the show. Man, there's some Rhino hate going on, bro. There's some Rhino hate going on. That's all right. We've reached the hour point. We can all say that the Sinister Six is dope. One of the greatest supervillain teams out there. If you watch this later, let us know. Comment below. Answer some of the questions that we've been asking.
Who would you put on your team? I want to know.
Yeah, we want to know who you put on your team. What female character would you use? And you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed your holidays. Hope your New Year was good. Just keep grinding, man. Keep being a 5-star version of yourself. And we're going to catch you guys next week. Fish, you got anything you want to add? You got anything you want to add?
No.
That
Just continue enjoying the new year.
Indeed.
New you, 2023. New year, new you.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.